Here we have a mixed media painting. What does mixed media mean? It means we're using a mix of different materials to create a painting. Here we're working with texture, silverleaf, and resin. So we're working with 3 different materials and combining them together. To make a painting, I use acrylic putty texture, which I think is a real texture. It has a good texture, cracks less, and sometimes doesn't crack at all compared to artistic textures like basket. In my opinion, it's much more durable, and you can get it from hardware stores. With a spatula, you spread it over your canvas or wood, and here I'm applying it on canvas. First, I drew the shape and marked the areas where I wanted to apply the texture, and then I started. I applied texture to the areas that needed it. It's closer to the pencil. Right over those pencil marks. That area is where the resin will be applied, so add more texture to that part. Make sure to add more texture to that shape so that when you pour the resin, it doesn't seep into the textured areas. Now, using a brush or just a very simple tool, I go over the surface to create a bit of elevation and texture. Don't make this texture too plain. You can also do this with a palette knife to change the look of your texture, for example. Now with a notched palette knife, you can go over the surface and create different patterns. Here, for example, I create a semicircular shape and I can keep going with it. You can complete that circle if you want. You can give your texture various shapes so it doesn't stay plain and simple. After about 10 hours, when the texture is completely dry, you can use gold leaf adhesive. Apply the adhesive thoroughly to the areas where you want to add gold or silver leaf, making sure to cover them well. Since we've created raised areas here, there are a lot of highs and lows on our work, so be careful when applying the adhesive. You need to make sure that adhesive has been applied everywhere because gold and silver leaf will only stick to the areas where there is adhesive, and if there's no adhesive, the leaf will come off and the white base underneath will show. That's why you need to be very careful to apply adhesive to every part of your work. The adhesive should be left for at least 1 day so that it becomes tacky. Tacky means that its color changes from white to, and we should just feel the stickiness. Now while our glue is drying, we can work on the middle part where we wanted to apply the resin. I want to use black resin. That's why I'm making the background black first, because I'm using black ink pigment. It's transparent and the background that shows the work to some extent, so at first I make the background black so that my black is a deep, rich black and the white base of my work doesn't show through. So I use black acrylic and apply it with a brush. The acrylic is ready to use. It doesn't take more than 20 minutes to dry. Once it's dry, that's when I use resin. This piece of mine is 50 by 50, and for a 50 by 50 I wanted to do the middle part differently. I'm going to work with resin. So for 50 units of resin, 25 units of hardener is enough. You can use either thick or thin resin, it doesn't make a difference. For the middle parts of the work, I used black acrylic and waited for it to dry. Now I move on to the parts where I had added texture and applied gold leaf adhesive. I apply the gold leaf there. You can use gold leaf or silver leaf for your work. This depends on your own preference, but you absolutely must make sure that the gold leaf adhesive has reached a tacky state. Because if it's not tacky, when you work, it will stick to your hands and really bother you. So that's the point that I mentioned. Make sure to follow it so you don't have trouble when applying the gold leaf adhesive. For example, here where we have a lot of raised and recessed areas, we need to be careful to make sure that all parts are covered with the gold leaf adhesive. After we've applied the silver leaf to the entire piece, we use a brush to go over the surface. This way, the areas with raised or recessed details get filled with the leftover bits of silver leaf that have fallen off. And if you notice that there are any empty spots, you can use some more. Use a bit of silver leaf and cover those small empty areas, or you can reapply some adhesive. And when the adhesive becomes tacky again, you can apply the silver leaf once more. So if you see any spots that are left uncovered, don't worry. You can use either of these two methods, as I explained to you. Now we're going to use a tool called Shapoon. I've already introduced Shapoon to you before. There are different types, but the brown one is the artistic material. Basically, you use a brush to apply it over the areas you've worked on. You apply the golden or silver powder, and if you want it to be lighter, just brush over it more with back and forth strokes. If you want it to be more intense, brush over it less so the color stays stronger. Let me show you. I liked it at this stage, so now I'll mix the resin and hardener together. The difference. It doesn't matter what type of resin you use. Here, my resin is thick, so I use 50 parts resin and half that amount of hardener. It's enough. Just mix it well so the bubbles are removed. Mix them together thoroughly so the resin and hardener are well combined, and that's it. So that you can't tell it's two separate parts anymore and it becomes a completely clear single component material. After you've mixed it well, now I want to add a bit of black sand acrylic and white sand acrylic to it. You can leave your resin colorless since your base is black. There's no need to, for example, color your resin. Or if you want to color it, you can use alcohol ink or even black paste color. You can use any color you like. Or as I said, we use colorless resin because your base was completely black. Now we add the white acrylic, pour the resin into the center part of our work that I had marked earlier, spread it with a popsicle stick or a spoon, and use a torch to remove the bubbles. This also needs to sit for about 24 hours so the resin can dry completely. The parts where we applied the silver leaf are now finished, and we don't need to do anything else with those sections. All that's left is for the resin to dry, and then our artwork will be ready. And here is our mixed media artwork where we created a piece using a mix of texture, silver leaf, and resin. Now you can use your own creativity and combine any techniques you like to make even more beautiful artworks. I hope you enjoyed it.